Hi, friends. Today, today, I want to share what it's really like to leave home for university. Specifically, a few things that are not as talked about. I left home when I was 17 to go to UC Berkeley, and trust me, I felt every emotion you can think of, you can imagine. It's exciting, but it's also scary, and there's a lot of change that happens all at once, right? You're no longer living with your parents, there's no one to take care of you, you're very independent, you're also taking all these classes, you're figuring out your future, so it's a lot happening. And I just wanted to talk about what to expect and how you can navigate these big shifts. So, one thing I'll say is you'll definitely appreciate your family way more. One of the biggest things I noticed was how much I valued my family after moving out. There's something about being away from that completely changes your perspective. Distance has a way of deepening your sense of gratitude. It's the little things that stand out too, like how your parents just fed you every day, or in my case, also drove me to all these extracurricular activities without a single complaint. And when you're living at home, it's easy to take these things for granted because they're part of your everyday life and you're so used to it. But when you're away, you start to see your family members as individuals with their own quirks, their own sacrifices they had to make, their own love languages, and you realize all the ways that they've shown up for you, even in moments you didn't notice at that time. It's it's really funny how being apart makes you appreciate their uniqueness even more. Suddenly, the things that might have annoyed me become the things that I've missed, right? All the times my mom nags me about eating healthy and things like that. And so when you reconnect, these shared moments feel so much more meaningful because you know what it's like to not have them right there always at your beck and call. I honestly, I don't think I've ever told my parents how much my love and gratitude for them has grown since moving away. And honestly, good thing they watch my videos. So, Amma, Tate, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. For this next one, you all know it, imposter syndrome. It's that feeling where you doubt your abilities and think you don't belong, right? Especially when you're surrounded by so many high achieving people. And at university, you're suddenly in a much bigger, much more competitive space, and it's so normal to question your place there. Because in grade school, you're, fitting in was often second nature. You were surrounded by familiar faces, people from your neighborhood, classmates you grew up with. And when you move to college, that dynamic shifts. You're now surrounded by people from all over the world, each bringing their unique talents and achievements. And it can feel like everyone else is miles ahead of you. And what we don't realize is how much of this fitting in mindset has been subtly trained in us over time. Without thinking, you might find yourself trying to blend in or prove you belong, but as you start making friends and getting to know people beyond their accomplishments, you realize something really important, that everyone is feeling this way at first. These doubts are so normal, and you're definitely not alone. And over time, these feelings simmer down as you begin to trust yourself and your abilities. You learn more about yourself. It's also helpful to remind yourself that the admissions officer who reviewed your application knew what they were doing. They saw something in you, even if you don't see it yet. Trust their judgment and give yourself the chance to grow into that person they knew you could be. And the key in all of this is to recognize that these thoughts are just part of adjusting to a new environment. If they're not a reflection of your actual abilities, the more you show up, the more effort you put in and prove to yourself that you belong, the more confident you'll feel. So in high school, where, your days were packed with a rigid structure and there was no real lack of routine, college gives you a lot more freedom in terms of your time. At first, this sounds amazing, and honestly, it is amazing. But it can also leave you feeling a little lost and overwhelmed. Suddenly, you're asking yourself, what do I do with all this free time? And it's like you can do anything, right? The world is your oyster. And so in the beginning, it's easy to take advantage of all the luxuries of being at university. I know I did. Without anyone telling me to, do my homework or having a set time to do my homework, which used to be after you finish school, right? I definitely slacked off quite a bit at first. And without my mom around to make sure I was eating healthy, I let my health slip as well. And it was easy to prioritize convenience over effort. I mean, who's going to stop me? Literally no one, right? You're your own person now. But here's the thing, that's part of that process, like I was saying. College is where you learn how to navigate life on your own terms. And sure, you might stumble a bit at first, but eventually you'll definitely find your rhythm. When a song changes, your dance to that song might also change, right? You might go from a classical form of dancing to Beethoven to breakdancing or something crazy for a different song. So it's all part of the process. And so you want to give yourself grace to make those mistakes and learn from them, because this is the time to do that. If you have not listened to anything else, this one you should listen to, because I think a lot of people go through this one. So living in close quarters with someone else teaches you a lot about boundaries and how to handle conflict. With siblings, you can always rely on your parents to step in and mediate, but now it's on you to work things out. And learning to communicate your needs, listening actively, and finding compromises will save you a lot of unnecessary tension. And believe me, navigating these challenges make you so much more emotionally resilient in the future. If your RA suggests creating a roommate agreement, take it seriously and do it. It might sound silly, it did to me, but it is so important. It's, you might think that you're easygoing, and then you meet someone who has all these quirks and things that you might not enjoy. So, speaking as someone who's been an RA myself, I can tell you it's one of the best tools for setting the tone in your shared space. When you set those expectations early, like quiet hours, cleaning responsibilities, or rules about guests, it's so much easier to avoid misunderstandings later. Because then later it's easy to assume, oh, well, you said that you were easygoing, and now all of a sudden you have all these things that you're wanting to be particular about. So set those intentions ahead of time. And another key thing is to make it clear that this agreement isn't set in stone. It can evolve as you get to know each other, because let's be real, you don't truly know what bothers you or what doesn't until you've actually lived with someone that's not family. And creating that foundation of open communication early on will make adjusting to each other's habits so much smoother. In college, you have to take care of yourself in ways you probably didn't before, whether it's cooking, managing your money, or handling other life responsibilities. And so this is where you really start building confidence in your abilities to handle things on your own. It's not easy at first, but each time you figure something out, like to do your own laundry or cook an actual meal, I know that sounds silly, but that was it for me. You'll feel a little more capable and a little bit more independent. And being in a completely new environment also pushes you to rethink old habits and ways of thinking. It's like hitting the reset button on your routines. I had to start embodying my mom and taking responsibility for eating healthy myself. No one else was gonna do that for me. No one was gonna be there to nag me about eating my vegetables, so I had to be that person for myself. But it's these small everyday challenges that help you grow as a person. You'll discover strengths you didn't know you had, and you'll develop a sense of pride in your ability to take care of yourself. It's all a part of the process of becoming more independent and more self-sufficient. I hope this was helpful for you. Honestly, these are things that I never saw coming when I went to university, but they've all shaped me in ways I didn't expect. University is such a unique time, full of awkward moments, exciting changes, and challenges that force you to really grow. So take it all in a stride. Let yourself learn, make mistakes, and figure things out as you go. Sorry. um, Something happened. Anyways, what I was saying was some days you'll feel like you're thriving, and other days you'll just want to nap through it all, just hunker down in your dorm room. But that's okay. That's really okay. It's all part of the process. Just remember, you're going to be learning, you're going to be making mistakes, so expect mistakes. Don't expect yourself to be perfect. This is the time to do it. Thank you so much for being here and, listening to my little rants. And I hope that was helpful. And I hope you have such a lovely journey on this new chapter of life. It's definitely a life-changing one. And it's not things that you start learning it. It's not like the book stuff you learn in college that really shape you. It's the other things. So, good luck. You've got this.